Hello, hello, hello. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Jessica Payne Live. I'm your host, Jessica Payne. Welcome to the show. Come on in, sit down. If you are watching me on the replay, thank you so much. Thanks for coming here week after week. I'm here live every week, 8 a.m. Pacific time here in the US, so thank you. If you are watching me live, hello, hello, welcome. Hi, Stephen. How are you? I see you there. Come on in, have a seat. How are things in the UK? Hopefully nice, and you're headed toward the end of your day. Today, if those of you are tuning in for the first time, you're watching Jessica Payne Live. It's right here on Facebook. You might be joining me from YouTube. Hello. You can always catch a live episode every Tuesday, like I said, 8 a.m. on my Facebook page, which I will put a link to if you're catching me on YouTube. I am getting a growing audience there, but you can actually catch me every week live and ask me questions in real time right here on Facebook. So don't forget to join me here on the show, Jessica Payne Live. It's all about my mantra, which is real is greater than perfect. So whatever that means to you. Today, we're going to talk about a couple of things. First and foremost, it's a magical week for me here. We've just launched my new course, Live Show Mastery, which I'm going to talk about toward the end of the show. Today, we're going to do two of these workshops this week. So today, my regularly scheduled show. And then on Thursday, 4 p.m., again, Pacific time, if maybe you caught the tail end of this, you have a question. So today, we're going to talk about how to go live on Facebook. And it's kind of based around questions I'm still getting. I've covered this topic in the past, but today I'm going to share 3 myths and 3 tips, because if you're like me, when you're maybe considering using the power of live, and I don't just mean Facebook Live, I mean live streaming in general. So, perhaps you have a YouTube channel, you're considering going live, or maybe you have a lot of Twitter followers and you want to start using Periscope. You might want to start going live. Maybe you're here on Facebook, maybe you're on Instagram, and you're considering going live. Perhaps you're wondering where stories fit in, kind of this more real-time content. It's kind of a big shift. If you are in charge of a community online, maybe you're a community manager, maybe you've just been assigned to a social media team, and one of your deliverables is to increase engagement. Maybe you're scratching your head over this Facebook algorithm thing because you're like, I'm not getting the engagement I need. So, and plus everyone and their brother is probably telling you to check out live. So today is kind of for you. It's going to be, like I said, 3 myths and 3 tips, if I can say that correctly. And of course, answer any questions you have. If you're considering going live for the first time and you have a question, put it here in the comments. Even if you're watching this on the replay, I will come back and I will absolutely answer your questions. It typically surrounds the same 3 to 4 questions that I'm actually going to address here. All right. So I think I might have seen, is that Gina or Christy jumping on? I have this dashboard I use. I use a great tool called Be Live, which you don't need to go live, but it's great. I love it. And when I see certain people are watching and they like and they have little hearts, I've now memorized your little thumbnail avatar, so I don't actually have to go to the other screen. So that's why I know Steven's on, because I can see his picture. How's everybody doing? Happy, what's today, Tuesday? We got a comment. Christy in the house. See, Christy, I've memorized. I can see the little red t-shirt on your son. So it's like, that's Christy. How you doing? Welcome. I know you're interested in Facebook Live. Look at my shine on my camera. Woo! Some days I have this shine. Other days it's dark in here. Today, surprisingly, in California, it is overcast. So some days it's like I'm on the surface of the sun, like and other days I'm here in the overcast. So it's actually perfect wet. It's a diffused light, which can make it dark in here. All right. So how about we get started, because I really value your time. Awesome. Gina and Christy are in the house. Gina, you may recognize from past episodes. Amazing startup, entrepreneur, professional, amazing, inspiration and a friend, based on the East Coast, does amazing things. In addition to Gina, awesome. So, hey girl, we love you, so proud of you. Thank you very much. I wouldn't be here without the encouragement of my tribe, my community, and Gina is a huge part of that. So she kind of is really good at lighting flames under my butt and just telling me to just do it. So if you want context to how long it has taken me to launch a course, in general, ask Gina, because she'll recall, conversations from last year. Thanks, Christy. I appreciate it. All right, guys, how about we just dive in? So for those of you watching, again, today's topic is really 3 myths and 3 tips around going live. And let's just focus today on Facebook, but you can actually use these strategies for others. So again, if you're considering using live streaming, so you're broadcasting live in real time across social media as perhaps a way to increase your engagement, because these are all proven methods, it does increase engagement. It's a powerful tool for you to show off your expertise in a conversational way. It's a great way to drive traffic. It's also a great way for you to actually demonstrate. Let's say you have a product that you need to demonstrate. You are on camera. It's a different animal because you're on camera, but this kind of opens up avenues for you that you can't get through a podcast, or you can't get through sort of more static content. Thanks, girl. Gina's like, girl, you are on fire. Probably because of the fire you lit under my butt. Let's just attribute it there. As long as it's lit, I'm good. I see we're having a little bit of choppy internet today, so I'm going to do my best to make sure that it is coming in loud and clear. Anything can happen on a live, so if I drop away, just refresh your page and I'll come back on. What I can do is I'm just going to keep going. And again, put in the comments if you can't hear me or if I drop off. I've had lives where this has happened. I've seen professional lives of every shape and size drop off. So we're just going to keep rolling. Lesson number 1. All right, so what are the 3 myths? And I shape them around myths because I kind of, I want to honor my own excuses that I used before I embraced live. And I know Gina was trying to get me to embrace the camera for a while. And I was like, I'm not going on camera. I fought it like a lot of people do. So myth number 1, which I think concerns a lot of people. Myth number 1 is that only live views are important. And this is kind of couched in an excuse and a challenge, because it's an excuse, but it's really a challenge I hear with my own excuses. Everyone's afraid nobody's going to show up. That I did a recent poll, an online poll, and I asked, if you haven't embraced going live, why? And I thought it was going to be because people are afraid to go on camera, kind of like the whole public speaking fear. The number 1 response wasn't that. It was, I'm afraid nobody's going to show up. So the ego is alive and well, as I like to say. But so walking back from that, I had the same exact excuse. If you walk back from that, I think what people are really saying is, I don't want to waste my time. I don't really know how live works, and live must mean only live views matter. So let me walk you back from this. That is a myth. And I think the best stat, I think Stephen, who is on, actually enlightened me to, Stephen Healy enlightened me to this statistic. 3/4 of live stream views happen on the replay. Did you know that? So 3/4, and that doesn't mean we don't get a ton of views in real time. That doesn't mean, I've been on shows where I myself am having tons of conversation and tons of real time guests, and then I go away and I have more guests after it. But right now, 3/4 of views from live streams actually happen on the replay. And if you think about it, that kind of makes sense. We're not on social media all day. Your audience isn't on social media all day. They're not even on TV all day. So if you think about it, you're going to get a chunk, and if you're smart, you broadcast. So here's your first tip. If you're smart, you're going to know when to go live to try to catch as many of your audience in real time as you can. So that's why for me, I go live every Tuesday at 8, because I know that I've got US followers all across all coasts. I have UK followers, so I need to make sure that I'm on when they're up. So you have to try to map it. I've got East Coast colleagues who are on a little later than me in the evening, so that they can catch my time zone and whatnot. So myth number 1 is only live views are important. That's a myth. And the stat to support that is 3/4 of our views come after the replay. So your first tip is to know when, and do your research to find when the majority of your audience is on. Hey, Dwayne, how's it going? Dwayne can support me on this. Dwayne is an awesome peer. I've been on his show. He hails from Canada, different time zones. So, and again, Dwayne, you have an evening broadcast that you do that I enjoy, which I actually love because I'm typically on the couch watching that. I kind of watch it, or it's toward the end of my day. So it actually works perfectly for me because I'm working all day, but I can actually catch Dwayne when he's wrapping up, so I can't tune in earlier in the day. So tip number one is kind of just like anything, like find where your audience is and try to air during that time, but don't sweat it. If anything, you could relax a little. The beautiful thing about live is it's definitely a more casual, it's professional, but it's a more casual medium. But because I know that the majority of my views are going to come on the replay, I actually relax a little. I know that the people that I generally interact with, awesome folks like Gina, Dwayne, Christy, you're all on here. And I know that I'm going to kind of cater to you, but there are going to be conversations that happen tomorrow, 3 days from now on this broadcast. So that's kind of an added bonus that people actually don't realize, that your show and your opportunities to connect, to create relationships, to drive traffic, don't start and stop between that 30 minutes or 60 minutes. I've brought on new clients from conversations that have happened a week after a show has aired. It's because it takes that long for people to sometimes discover me. Does that help? Does that kind of take some of the stress off? Gina, you're saying, how do you get your live play on other platforms like YouTube? Excellent question. That kind of goes along the lines of my second myth is Facebook Live is just for Facebook. That is a myth. So Gina, perfect. I use a tool, and there are many, that actually repurposes. Once I go live, I use this tool, an app called repurpose.io, and I'll put a link to it in the comments. That it takes a little time, but what it does is it specializes in taking my live stream and it'll pump it out to YouTube. So I pay for that tool. It's a nominal fee. It's like a monthly, I think it's a monthly subscription, like $20 or something. Stephen, maybe you can correct me on that. But I heard about it in the community, the live stream community. It's called Repurpose. And I'm going to leave it in the comments. Let me know if you can't find it. You can just Google repurpose.io, and that actually pumps it out to YouTube. And again, it takes a little bit of time, but I love it because one of the biggest headaches of creating content that I always use as an excuse was like, I don't have time. Great. Okay. I just aired my podcast. Now I have to repurpose it. Now I have to turn it into bite-sized pieces. It's like all this stuff stacks up, right? Because a lot of us are investing our free time to create our content. Well, what I love about repurpose.io is, and again, I just asked around and I saw what other live streamers were doing. And this tool is great. It cuts down time. It's automatic. You can set out certain things. And it's beautiful. I can not only pump this out to YouTube. There's a little bit of a delay. And I have a whole playlist on my YouTube channel that's just for my show, which is great because that's how people find me. But I can also turn these lives into audio files. So you can get, using the same tool, so you can guess what I do next. I turn those into podcast episodes. All right? So again, think about it. My time, maximizing my time is really just this 60 minutes I'm online. I invest in a smart tool like repurpose.io, and there are others, and then it pumps it out to YouTube. It turns it into a podcast. Because if anyone's going to tell you that the biggest opportunity for content creators is to repurpose, because again, just like the replay, a lot of people don't find you the first time or you're live or when you're live. A lot of it is discovery. So if you're smart about the tools you use to repurpose, that actually is a huge secret sauce for people. So people understand, yeah. Dwayne, I've used repurpose.io. I'm a huge fan too, Dwayne. Yeah. And it was really me asking around. I saw Stephen, I asked him what he was using. Dwayne, it's like you and I are the same focus there. So I've heard of other tools, but I've heard repurpose.io is by far the most recommended one. And I'm not a paid affiliate. I just like it. It's like I set it and forget it. It's a beautiful thing. You can personalize it to like which channels, which is fantastic. Now, the quality isn't always great. I will say, ultimately your live stream quality is going to depend on your internet connection. I've got live streams that come in crystal clear, and I've got live streams that look like they're from 1993, and I'm on a dial-up. It's just because Los Angeles's internet was bad that day. So you can't always have perfect quality. Now, there are other tools you can invest in that are more pricey, stuff like you've probably heard of Livestream. is another popular one. And there are a few other ones that I've seen started to pop up where people are, and this is kind of a bad practice, they're actually simulcasting across 4 or 5 different social media channels. I actually don't endorse that because I think that the social media channels are actually going to crack down on it. But something that I've seen that is a trusted way to repurpose content is through repurpose.io. So check it out. Great question. Great question. So myth number 1, again, was that only live views are important. And that is a myth. 3/4 of the people that are going to interact with this episode are going to happen on the replay. So let me give you a second tip for that. So if you are a professional host, and you are, then that's my second myth I'll get to in a minute. If you're live streaming, you need to consider yourself a professional. Like you've earned it. If you're serious about it, like you don't need a degree. Okay. So, but you will know because 3/4 of your followers watch it on the replay. If you notice my show, and if you watch other shows, typically hosts will welcome people as they come in. They say, if you're watching me on the replay, thank you. So we know to treat every episode, we cater to people here live, but we also set it up knowing that the majority of people are going to be watching us on the replay. So we do stuff like in the comments, we might call out at a certain time, hey, at such and such time is when I demo this product, or at such a zoom forward to such and such minute to watch my hands-on explanation or whatnot. Okay, so present it like a live, treat it like something that people are going to watch over and over and over. Great point, Christy, awesome. If I miss your live show, I always watch the replay, which is great. It's kind of amazing. Remember back in the day, and this probably only affects a certain age demographic. I don't know if I've got any millennials on here. If we missed an episode of our favorite show, we had to wait till summer reruns. Remember way back in the day when we couldn't even hit record, like in the 80s? If we missed that episode of MASH, we're out of luck until they re-aired again. Remember? And then, of course, we could record it on our VHS tape. And then we had kind of cable where we could kind of plan. And then we had DVR. And now we have Netflix. Everything's on demand. The beautiful thing about live streaming is, it's an easy tool to use because once we go live, it still lives on your, like Facebook Live, it still lives on your page so people can go back to it. The conversations live on your page so people can come back to it. A lot of people like me, I'll actually go in the conversations of a show before I actually watch it because I want to get into the meat and potatoes of what the show's actually about. To me, that's a value. And then there's the whole discovery thing. I've discovered shows that aired weeks ago, but it's a topic I care about. So I'll go in and watch a show. And it's like, I think there's a mind shift. There's a change now. We don't see that as old content. We're like, that episode is still relevant, even though it aired technically, I guess, weeks ago. And half the time you don't even know when the episodes air. That makes sense? Great question. If I miss your live show, I always watch the replay. I appreciate that. And that helps. That helps my numbers. That helps me answer questions if you ever come back to it. And again, I need to remember that for folks like Christy. I know I need to present it in a way that is of value to you, Christy. So it's like you don't walk away going, oh, well, I couldn't catch her in real time. It's not worth watching. You are aging, some of us. Well, I'm technically not a millennial either. I say I'm a millennial in mixed company. I'm like right on the border. You're like a fine wine, Dwayne. You're wise. Well, age is just a number, right? That's another thing I love about live streaming. It's not just millennials doing this. I mean, it's like that's another myth. Let's just jump into that myth, okay? This is a new myth. I didn't have it written down, but let's do it. The myth is that you have to be a certain demographic. You have to be a certain age. You have to be a certain specialty to live stream. You don't. This is really anybody's game. So myth number 2, you have to be a professional live streamer, let's say, is what I can call the myth. That is just simply not true. If conversation is a key part of you selling, of you demonstrating your expertise, of you raising awareness, you can use live streaming. It doesn't matter if you sell stuff, if you run a nonprofit, if you are a news broadcaster, if you are a consultant, if you are an expert. Let's say you are in a field that's highly technical. Maybe you are a carpenter, or you you work in the B2B space or high art tech. I was just seeing a content the other day. Someone's a lab technician. They make they make limbs, artificial limbs for people. They're doing a live show. I mean, I've seen live streams on everything from realtors, consultants, lawyers, doctors, lab technicians. There are a lot of people doing beauty and cosmetics. I've also seen an interesting one where people are like digging up pearls and oyster shells. Is that a thing? Jewelers. I've seen people do, they're under the hood of their car. They're like doing auto stuff. Men, women, boomers, millennials. It's amazing. And I love that because it's not, you know, there's kind of this stigma that comes along with like YouTubers. Oh, I have to be this hip millennial. Well, honestly, live streaming just blew that out of the water. Some of the best quality shows are from folks who have a ton of expertise in their field. And those aren't babies. You know, so I love it. If you're an expert in your field and you are at the least bit comfortable on camera, live streaming can honestly be probably your favorite thing, honestly. Gina, so if you have a product, love it, Gina. So if you have a product and yet want to drop knowledge on business stuff, do you need 2 different shows? That's an excellent question. Gina, I would say if you're first starting out, just start with 1 show. Think about it this way. The show doesn't have to be product specific, but it should be specific to you. Live streaming is kind of like, it was kind of easy for me to step forward because I am my brand. So I'm essentially selling me. That's why consultants and experts and teachers are really doing well with this medium because we're kind of used to already we are the face of our business no matter what we're selling. My advice to you is, you know, show people who Gina is because this isn't going to be the first and only product you sell. You don't want a new show for every product. People invest in people. So here's another opportunity for live streaming is, you know, trust is a huge factor on places like social media. We all are mad about the whole fake news thing. The algorithm is making us scratch our heads. While people are okay being sold to, they don't want to be sold to. We are all skeptical about what is being pushed in front of us, and we're all very persnickety about how we spend our time. There are people who have left social media entirely, or they've taken a hiatus. People are now slowly coming back. So to answer your question, Gina, I think, you know, invest in creating a show where Gina can come forward because that opens you up to talking about your experience, your lived experience, your business. My guess is when you're about to drop a product, you know, the more people know about you and your story and while you're here and maybe what's coming down the pipeline, they're going to want to invest in you. So, and that's easier for them to understand if there's a show that they can keep coming back to. That's the second tip, I think, is in terms of like, so I want a tip for every myth. The myth is about you need to be a professional for a show. Another tip for that myth is consistency really is your best bet. Keep it consistent. Yeah. So Gina, great question. If you have a product and yet want to drop knowledge on business stuff, do you need 2 different shows? 2 different episodes, maybe. So, you know, you don't want to communicate too much in one episode because, again, people are busy. I have people watching this probably either live on the replay while they're making dinner with their kids, or they've got Peppa Pig on and they're, you know, it's morning time for their kids, or they're walking their dog. So people are distracted. So keep it very, very clear. Maybe 2 episodes. If the product is new or really requires its own conversation, yeah, but you shouldn't need to make, you know, couple shows. And that's my 3rd myth. Your show needs to be perfect. Now, this kind of goes along the lines of the fear I mentioned, the challenges, the excuses that I had when I first started. And that was, hey, Diane, how's it going? I love how there's like side conversations. That's a whole other part of live I love. So the myth number 3, hey, Diane, where are you hailing from? Let us know. Thanks for joining. That a show needs to be perfect. Well, if you know my mantra, real is greater than perfect. Perfect doesn't exist. Some of the best shows I've seen have had spouses walk through dogs walk through, cameras being dropped, people laughing, people having wine while doing something. Wine Wednesdays are a fun, popular new one I'm seeing, where you have an expert, maybe they're a realtor or whatever, and they have wine and they just kind of talk. So there's a little bit of fun happening. Anything can happen in live, and I think that's honestly what makes it a beautiful thing. We're seeing people as they really are. Like, you see my studio backgrounds. I'm kind of a voyeur. I'm fascinated with where people are hosting their shows. I've seen them in garages, home studios, bars. One guy makes dinner, and he's not even a chef. Like, he's talking. It's kind of like Wine Wednesdays. He's cooking while he's talking about, I think he's in, is he in real estate? He cooks meals. He's in his kitchen. It's awesome. And you can hear him. And so I think, the show, what is perfect? The show doesn't need to be framed in the 1990s news broadcast way. It can be anything. Wicked, Diane, Toronto. I have this dream, Diane, of going to Toronto. It's on my bucket list. I've fallen in love with the city. You do amazing things. I follow a lot of acting talent. There's amazing stuff going on in Toronto. You have an amazing YouTube, web series, creative industry coming out. You guys are doing amazing things in Toronto. And I've actually never been, but I'm such a huge fan, so I will get there. But maybe now, Diane, I'll be like, I know one person here in Toronto. I love Canada. I'm going to be in Canada, I know it, within the next 12 months. Gina, maybe you and me. So thanks for watching. Really, seriously, come on down. Love it. Well, you invited me, so I guess now I have to go. No, but I've heard amazing things. And the waterfront in the summer, it's like, what? Beautiful. It reminds me a little bit of Boston. Okay, so myth number 3, the show has to be perfect. It doesn't. I think that's an added pressure. It's unfair that we put on ourselves. And I honestly think it's like, just redefine what we're doing. Is we're telling ourselves what our show has to be based on what we've seen. And what we've seen is kind of an old, tired method of broadcasting. You don't need a professional studio, although you should. Like, I have a lighting rig here. I'm conscious of what's behind me. You want a tidy space, you want good lighting, you want to have a framework. And I teach all of this in my course, which I'll get to a little bit later. But yeah, you want to do your hair, you want to look presentable. The more professional, the more time you put into making something look professional, the more people, just like how your website should be professional. It doesn't have to be perfect. Your social media presence, it should be professional, but it doesn't have to be perfect. Do you see what I'm saying? So don't give yourself one more excuse not to do live streaming. Honestly, it's like, as long as I tell people, as long as you have one of these and an internet connection, you can go live. Right now on Facebook, right now on Instagram, you just tap it. So how to go live on Facebook in minutes is literally just sign into your app, tap on your app, and go live. It's no secret. But the only way you're going to be able to go live in minutes is if you get these 3 excuses out of the way. Do you see what I'm saying? That was a little surprise. You thought I was just going to do an app demo. It's like, no. The hardest thing, the biggest excuse I get are these 3. Okay, so the first one is around, well, the 3 are around perfection, what a professional show, and only live views are important. Okay, so those are the 3. It's not a myth, but let's honor the 4th kind of most popular reason, because I don't want to forget it, is, where's my cat today? I know, Dwayne, right? She's actually on my lap earlier. Is people have big concerns being on camera. And here's what I have to say about that. That is absolutely valid and important. Some people never want to be on camera. And honestly, if you are not comfortable being on camera, live streaming is probably not for you. I go into a deep breakdown of this challenge in my private group, in my course, and it's a whole conversation around what format is right for you. So this is a one-on-one format. There's talk show format. There's live stream. There's news broadcasting, whatever. One of the biggest questions I get is like, which format is right for me? And it's typically couched around, I'm really nervous to be on camera. I don't know how to present. For those of you who never want to be on camera, live streaming is probably not right for you. It doesn't mean, though, that you don't have a live broadcast. Is there someone on your team that can speak for you, or that is part of your organization, your product demo team, that is fine being on camera? Maybe they are. It's usually the first question I ask. Are you the right messenger? All right. You can still have a live stream show for your organization or your company or your product. It just might not mean that you are the person on camera. Half of that is comfort level. Okay. It's just like PR back in the day with media training. Some CEOs you just never put on camera because it's an uncomfortable, awkward situation. But their chief marketing officer or their field expert or a hired influencer can speak to it, right? So again, if you do not want to go on camera, I want to honor that. The live streaming is probably not right for you. Now, if you're just saying that because you're a little intimidated by the camera, here's what I have to say. Love it. Live is cool, fun on radio, love it. Diane is awesome. Live is cool. You kind of have to just like, well, I'm live, so whatever, it's a very freeing thing. If you are nervous about being on camera, and I get this a lot, next to nobody's going to show up, the second most common excuse is I can't be on camera. It's a firm no. And then I'm like, but you can though, because you have. If you've ever used Zoom or Google Hangouts, you've been on camera. If you've ever FaceTimed, you've been on camera. If you've ever posted a Facebook story or an Instagram story, or maybe you were trying Periscope out, or if you've live tweeted from your phone, you've been on camera. If you use Snapchat, you've been on camera. So I'm sorry, but you can and you have. The beautiful thing about live streaming is, again, casual. People want people on live streaming. They expect a certain amount of professionalism, but it's not Walter Cronkite. That's not what people want. They're going to be bored to tears. The best live streams I've seen have been shaky cameras, but really authentic conversation. You know what I'm saying? Dual screens where we have two women just cracking up. They've totally gone off on a tangent in their show, but the conversation is awesome. Okay. So again, chances are you've already been on camera because you probably own one of these. So I want you to walk back from that excuse. Christy has a great comment here. True, Gina does great, not so much me. I can do many things to help others, but it would take a lot to get used to talking live shows. That's totally true. My first couple of episodes sucked. They were bad, but it was okay. And I knew even then that 3/4 of people would watch it on the replay. I think I didn't have any views my first couple episodes, which was fine. I just wanted to get my feet wet and try this thing. I was wicked skeptical. I didn't want to waste any more time on social media. I almost quit social media 6 months ago. I was done. I was like, Facebook, really? Another change? Like, I was watching my own engagement just dip, and I was like, I'll try this live stream thing because I have nothing to lose. I've heard some good things, but I was just like all in. And so my first couple episodes, like, I was just finding my feet. My background, my studio didn't look the way it did. I didn't have my lighting rig. I think all I had was, I had a smartphone and my earbuds, which I still use. And then I invested in a webcam because I did research. But my first couple episodes, I didn't even have a proper intro or outro. I didn't have an agenda or a script. And I still brought in clients. That's the cool thing. I actually brought in clients, and business partnerships actually came in through those first episodes. It was amazing. I was still finding my feet. I'm not saying the same will happen to you, but I'm saying it has huge potential. Okay. So Christy, yeah. So I think a part of it is building confidence. You know, what are you fired up about? What can you speak to with ease? What can you break up into bite-sized pieces? That's why you see a lot of consultants and teachers like this medium, because they're kind of used to doing that. I think anyone can do that with a little bit of practice. If there's something that you're passionate about that you can teach in person, this is a great medium for you. Or something you can spell out. Again, if conversation is part of your delivery, that helps enhance your brand, demonstrate your expertise. If you have to show anything visual, live streaming is a huge, huge opportunity for you. Yeah, great question. Gina's saying, if you are your brand, you have to step up. Absolutely, you have to. I think we're going to see a mad rush of people embracing live streaming. I'm already seeing it every day. It's like there's a new live stream show. And I think the biggest opportunity, and people get stressed. They're like, well, I'm already too late to the game. That's not true, because the most beautiful thing about live streaming is if you're your brand, you're already unique. So it's the classic marketing. It's like, don't try to be anyone else but yourself. In fact, on live streaming conversation, people can tell right away if you're fake, or if you're just like, if you're just like a carbon copy of something else, or if all you're doing is selling. Here's another myth. I know I would talk about 3, but here's another one I should talk about is people think that live streaming shows are just like infomercials. That's actually the biggest mistake you can make. Your live streaming show shouldn't be an infomercial week after week. You're going to see it immediately in drop-offs and your lack of views. You might even get some hate mail or comments. Your live streaming show, people, Stephen Healy, he said it best. I'm going to use his words. People come to Facebook for conversation, okay? This is not a sham wow, set it and forget it. I'm going to talk about my course that I'm selling in a couple minutes, but I'm not going to talk about it this entire time. And for those of you who've watched me, and I know a lot of you are repeat views because I recognize you, I would annoy the hell out of you. I would annoy the hell out of me if all I did was sell stuff week after week. And it's like, I wouldn't have the views I would because that's just frankly annoying. So the myth is that you have to have something to sell to have a live show. That is a myth. It's a powerful opportunity to mention what you're selling or to promote yourself, but in a way that is earning the trust of your viewers by demonstrating value. So got to give before you get, certainly on this medium, but it always comes back tenfold. Oh, Christy, you two are the best, talking live, and what you do for others to gain great knowledge is beyond words. I really appreciate that. That's what fulfills me. One of the reasons that, thank you. One of the reasons I come back to live streaming is I find it extremely fulfilling. One of my biggest challenges, and maybe we can shift and I can talk about my course now, but people do ask me what brought you into live streaming. And I fought it tooth and nail because frankly, I was tired of wasting time. And I needed to put, pedal to the metal. Like I was tired of trying to outsmart Facebook's algorithm. I do a lot of social media content for a lot of clients and those are humming, but for my own business, I was like, my engagement is just dropping. And this was before we knew what Zuckerberg was doing over at Facebook. He was basically tweaking the algorithm, but I was seeing it on Instagram too and Twitter. I'm just like, maybe I just take a break. And I hear this a lot from people. They get overwhelmed and they fall out of love with social media. And it's basically wrapped around frustration. It's like, I'm wasting too much time on this thing. I'm not getting a return. I need to sell stuff. I need to hit my numbers or whatever. So I embraced live streaming because A, it was new and I had nothing to lose. But B, I had started to hear rumors about this whole and the ease of going live. And I was like, well, I do like teaching and I do like instructing. And there's a certain appeal to the live element, as scary as it is. I don't have to edit after because I used to fall down the rabbit hole of 2-3 hours editing stuff on my podcast. And just like, it was a nightmare. It was a nightmare. So thanks for joining Diane. She has to run. Enjoy the rest of the show. I appreciate it. I'll see you in Toronto. Thanks for joining, Diane. If you have any questions about live streaming or the course, hit me up on the comments after. And that's the beautiful thing about, like, she has to run, but we're going to talk later. It's a beautiful thing. So yeah, I embraced live streaming because it was new and I had time I could invest in it. And then it kind of, the start was rocky. Like I say, my hair was big, I was sweaty. I didn't have any sort of professional framework. I went into it with a little bit of flexibility and forgiveness, which is my advice to you. It's like, it's not going to be great off the bat. You might not even get views off the bat, but everybody starts at zero. Roberto Blake, he's an amazing YouTube influencer. He says, everybody starts at zero. And it's true. Remember when you started your Facebook page or your website? No, but everybody starts at zero. But the secret sauce is consistency. The ABC, always be consistent. And you're going to see your show grow and you're going to be able to evolve with your show, which is going to be great. And I kind of walk through this in the course. So how about I talk a little bit about the course? But again, if you have any more questions about myths or tips, ask me, because that's really the focus of today's live stream, which I'll also be doing on Thursday at 4 p.m. Kind of a repeat of this, but I might add a few more based on the questions. Otherwise, let's talk a little bit about live show mastery. So for those of you who are joining me, and I know some of you actually have a live show, so I appreciate you sticking around. And if you have any tips you want to share in the comments, I'll make sure to link to your handles and whatnot. Live show mastery. Okay, so basically, like I said, 6 months ago, I nearly quit social media. I was jaded. I was feeling a lot of frustrations that I hear a lot of my clients have. I was just like, maybe I focus on something else for a while. I can't spend my days trying to outsmart Facebook's algorithm. It's like this, next to Google, it's like one of the most sophisticated algorithms out there. I was seeing my engagement drop. I was producing the same great content I do for clients, but for my own page, I was like, why is my engagement dropping? And I think it had to do with the fact that nobody was seeing my content, even my subscribers. And I was like, what can I do to get back in front of people? And I'd started to hear about this whole thing called live streaming. And a friend of mine actually turned me on to it. She had started a live streaming show. So finally I jumped in. And one thing I noticed when I first started was there was no how-to. There was no blueprint. There was no toolkit. I was like, really? No one's taken advantage of the fact that, like, if there was just some simple rules that were laid out, I think more people would embrace it and get over those challenges. And for me, my greater mission is, like, I think social media has a tremendous potential to create positive change, and we need more good people doing great things on social media. If they knew how to live stream and it was easier, maybe more people would actually be using this powerful tool. Because I have this dream of, like, social media being like a pleasant place again. Wouldn't that be nice? And I think live streaming has huge potential. So I made a promise right then and there that, okay, if I end up loving this live streaming thing, if it actually ends up working for me, I'm going to create a how-to, because there was nothing that existed. And I'd rather people just get live streaming sooner than having to go through what I did for the last 6 months of just trying to figure all this out. Does that make sense? And I don't think a traditional course is going to help people. I don't think people need to finish a course to go live. So that's why I created Live Show Mastery, which is, it's a course and a community rolled into one. So rather than, okay, here's like 12 weeks of stuff you're going to have to memorize, it's more like it's a membership. So just like you would subscribe to Netflix or Amazon Prime or anything you would every month, it gives you a little bit of flexibility in the budget. And what you do is, on top of the membership, you get a toolkit served up to you every single month. And every toolkit, again, is mapped out based on what I've been able to master. And every single toolkit has a theme. So the first one's all about getting started. Here, it's like 6 or 7 chapters, and these are templates, tips, tricks, tools. It's all laid out for you so that all you have to do is literally just copy and paste your stuff. You have an agenda, you have a show script, you have example intros and outros that you literally just, like, swap your stuff in for mine. So that, again, you're on air and you're live streaming way sooner than if you had to recreate all this. So massive time savers. You have, like I said, I recommend the tools I use. I talk about repurpose.io. I talk about, okay, use these tools for repurposing, use this tool for broadcasting. If you want to step it up, try this tool. Everything I recommend at first is free. Like, I'm not saying, okay, here, invest in this $100 a year platform. It's not fair. So I'm like, no, the first chapter is all about, okay, here's how you go live in minutes. Here's a how-to video to actually get you to use your smartphone and live broadcast on Facebook in minutes, and you're going. So I think a lot of this is, your experience is going to come from your confidence, and the only way you can get confident is actually if you just flip and do it. So every month you get a toolkit, which is served up, and it focuses on a theme, and it builds off the previous month. And what I say is, you can binge the first month in like a day, or you can take 30 days to move through it. You can take the next 30 days to go through the previous 2 months. It's totally your pace, and it's all on digital, all on demand. You have videos, PDF files you can download. You have tutorials from me. You have templates you can use and print out where you can write notes. It's just totally modeled to how you learn. The themes range from how to book a guest. So pitch emails, nice notes you can write a guest. Let's say you want to get someone who's pretty well known in their field. Well, instead of you having to write that note, I've written it for you. You can tailor it. How to find influencers in your industry on social media. Smart strategies like how do you find guests in other social media groups you belong to? Again, to make finding guests and bringing them on the show that much easier, so you don't have to recreate it. So all strategies that I've mastered. We talk about lighting, design, other live stream strategies like how to drive conversation during a show, how to check in with an audience, how to ask questions to drive conversations after the show, things like that. So it's half of it's sort of social media strategy, the other half is your show. But again, it gets you live in minutes, and then month after month you progress. So that's sort of the course side. The other side is it gives you access to a private community. So every week, on top of what you're getting each month, I do live streams in a private Facebook group. We workshop your issues. So it's kind of like this setup, but it's specific to members of the group, which is great because you have access to me that normally, I charge my hourly rate for, and I set up a strategic, like it's a one-on-one consulting every week, but in the group, and people like that access. And then in those, we have special tutorials and how-tos exclusively for that group. So, and the beautiful thing is you're like learning by doing. So what you'll find is after your first month, ideally you've gone live 4 or 5 times, the second month, the third month, the fourth month. So by the time you're technically through the course, you've created a body of work, an awesome show that has been strategically sound since day one. That's my goal. So that a year from now, and you have lifetime access to the content. So a year from now, you're going to be sitting on this body of work you're going to be proud of. You're going to be a professional, strategic, professional host. You could probably teach a course at that point. And you're just going to evolve with the technology. So that's the goal. But again, you don't have to complete the course to go live, because I think that's a joke. All right. So that's Live Show Mastery. If you want more information, all you do is I'll put a link to the course. You can just find it right on my my website, or on if you're watching me on Facebook, just click on the blue sign up button on my profile, and you can go ahead and do it. I should mention a couple things. There's a 30-day money back guarantee. So try it for 30 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back. That's how it is. Easy peasy. I just want you to try it, I think. And the second one is, if you use the offer, which I have a special offer now, it's a VIP one. If you, at checkout, if you use Go Live Now, which is on the sales page, so you put in Go Live Now when you check out, you get a month free. I just want you to try it. I think you'll like it. Worked for me. So that's Live Show Mastery. It's fun. I've been working the last 6 months kind of perfecting it. And the private community is probably my favorite part of it. Although the monthly toolkits, everybody learns a different way. And this was based off of feedback I was getting. They're like, I would love to embrace it. I just need to be told what to do. Just tell me what to do, or just show me what I need to do. I was like, I think templates would be helpful here. Or people are like, I have real problems. Can I workshop those? And I was like, I need a live element where I workshop every single week. So that's why it's a course and a community month after month. And it's $49 a month. Plus you get a month free. So think about it. It's like one nice dinner out, you're investing in your business. Sounds kind of like a nice trade-off. What do you think? John, what's up? How you doing? John Nasteff. John is amazing. If you notice some of the photography on my website, that is his work. He's an amazing creative designer based in California, amazing photographer, good friend. Gina, thank you so much. Great show today. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. So yeah, Live Show Mastery. I will put a link in the comments right after this. Again, if you are interested in checking that out, I'll actually, I'm here for a few more minutes if you guys have any questions in terms of that. Happy to answer any questions. We talked about some myths today. We talked about how shows need to be perfect. That's a total myth. We talked about how live views are the only ones that matter. That's a total myth. If you're just joining, 3/4 of views actually happen on the replay. When I heard that, that kind of blew my mind. And I was like, okay, now I really don't have an excuse to be afraid of this whole live thing. I think a part of it too is we see live, and we see it in the traditional live and that red box. It's really intimidating. It's like when we're on camera and we see that red, they should almost change the color. It's people, we have this fear of anything live because I think, again, we assume that it's got to be perfect, and that we sort of define anything live now as a traditional broadcast. And the beautiful thing about that is it's way more casual and way more forgiving, and I think way more fun than it was before. Hey, here's the link to my course. Just click on it. Let me know if that doesn't appear. I'm actually going to put it in my post here. I'm sort of doing 2 things at once, so forgive me, y'all. I just want to make sure that you have it. don't think I can comment in my actual show. So we'll see. Hopefully that worked. Let me know if you can see the comments. But I will actually follow it up. We're having a fun, I think, technical difficulties on Facebook today, which is okay. It literally just logged me out. All right, so Live Show Mastery, I'll put a link to it in the comments of this broadcast. But basically, if you click on it now, enrollment ends on Friday. And that basically the Go Live Now, the 1 month free expires at that time. So check it out. You'll find a link to that in the comments for those of you joining on the replay. And of course, you can find a link to that directly on my website, which is jessicapayne.us. All right, you guys. Well, those were 3 myths and 3 tips. Hopefully that enlightened a little bit in your world, the magic of live streaming. I will be back on Thursday doing the same exact live stream, talking about some of the same myths, similar myths. And then again, if you have any questions about live streaming, if you think it might or might not be right for you, leave the comments. I'll be following the conversation after the replay as well. Because again, if anything, even if you don't decide to go live, I'm hoping that today kind of enlightened you in terms of, hey, if you run a business, just start paying attention to this medium. It can really serve you, and pay attention if your audience or your customers are starting to enjoy it. Because if anything, and find some live shows that you can watch is probably the best advice I could give today. Just start to take notes. And if any of this appeals to you, you might want to consider doing it. All right, it's fun, it's rewarding. I find it incredibly fulfilling, and a big part of that is you guys. All right, so again, I will be back Thursday at 4 p.m. Pacific. If you need me between then, just hit a comment. Link to Live Show Mastery on sale now in the comments as well. All right, you guys, I'm going to let you go. Have a beautiful day. The sun is finally out here in California. Thanks for joining. Diane from Toronto, Dwayne up there from Canada as well. We had John on here. We had Christy and Gina on here. We had Stephen out in the UK. Thanks so much, you guys. You're a big part of why I'm here and a big part of why I love this medium. So, all right, you guys have a beautiful day. Happy live streaming, happy Facebooking, and I'll see you soon. All right, bye.